Meltdown is on. I never know exactly when we're live, whether it's at 3 or 1 or 2, but I know we're live
So,
now.
yes, I'm seeing live now.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Broadcasting to your community. This time, my co-host is from the United States of America. Franco, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Stephen is off gallivanting somewhere in the United Kingdom. So he said, David, you got to take the show. And I thought, well, it's a perfect opportunity to have a fresh face on here today. And of course, you're no stranger to us here.
Yeah, I've been, getting around a little bit.
Yeah. Let's talk about your world. You're down in North Carolina. You said, just for those who may not know who you are, and maybe just give some background on yourself and what you're doing.
So, I'm in the States in North Carolina, in between Raleigh and Charlotte, if anyone knows where that's at, in a little town city called Greensboro, North Carolina. And my day job is really a lot of video production work for clients. So that's what kind of keeps me busy most of the time, as I dabble into, this live stream community and experience and just enjoying myself with that.
Yeah.
So
what got you? What am I trying to say? What got you attracted into live streaming?
I stumbled upon it by someone I'm pretty sure you know. It was late one night or early morning at the gym. I used to, 2 years ago, or a year ago, I used to work out really, really early in the morning, and Eileen was on a stream.
Okay.
And I came across Blab. And I caught the tail end of the experience of Blab, literally the last 3 months, and got to see how tight knit the community was, how things were. And it kind of felt like the ham radio group, you know what I mean? Like just the people that knew how to do what they could do and communicating and creating conversation and connections. And I just thought that was really interesting because, it just allows a window that you can decide, do I open this window and let people in or not, and things like that. And so I dove in with that and then notice it went to Fire Talk, I think it was, after that. And then it just kept moving all the way to where now we're at BeLive and on Facebook.
It's interesting. A couple of things you mentioned in there, Franco, is Blab. And that was, it wasn't necessarily my first exposure to live streaming. I've been live streaming about 10 years, but that was like 10 years ago. It was back when it was really shaky. Like, that's what I call it. And I can't even remember the platform. I don't know if it was Ustream or anyway. And then I searched really hard. Of course, there was live stream and there was all these different platforms and everybody was trying to get into the game. And then I discovered Blab. I think probably just Googling it or whatever. And I was doing some Blab for a while. And I had a Facebook page, Blabbing with David. I was going all the way with it. And I was no sooner getting going and then gone. I'm like, and nobody saw that. Nobody saw it coming.
Right. Except the angel investors.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I kind of look at it now as I'm glad Blab closed, in the sense that they were just a stepping stone towards another platform like what we are here on BeLive. They were like a pioneer, right? Yeah. And setting the pace, if you will, or the design of what could be done, because really Blab did some things that were really ahead of its time, as far as, like what we could have, 8 people on screen or something?
Something like that.
It was a whole bunch. It was more than 4, right? So, and the other thing you mentioned in there I found interesting was ham radio operators, because I am a ham radio operator. Yeah. And one of the things that I've learned about that community is, just that it's a community, right? And it's typically a positive community. Everybody helps each other, come together in time of need, that sort of stuff. And BeLive has got that going on for sure, as far as the community. Would you agree with that and say that that's probably a big part of what keeps us here at BeLive? It's not just the features.
Yeah, no, it definitely is the community, it's the camaraderie, it's the collaborative, it's people getting to experience and experiment with, going live and building brands and communicating with people from from all over the world. It just creates that attraction, I guess would be the word.
Yeah. Well, and I know Stephen and I have talked a few times about the whole networking thing. I mean, here we are. You're in North Carolina. I'm here in Canada, where it's actually 31 degrees Celsius, folks. Wherever you're watching from, it is like
hot.
It's like 100 degrees here today. Yes. So I'm staying inside. There's actually a heat warning in effect in our area by the public health unit. So,
right.
But the network, you're in North Carolina, Stephen's in the United Kingdom, and then, I've met Adair in Australia. And
sure,
it's funny because when I go to my local coffee shop now or my local pub or whatever and have conversation, I'm talking about people. I'm like, oh yeah, I talked to this guy, or the other day I was like, what's going on with the World Cup and everything? I'm like, oh, I don't know. Let me ask my friend in England. They're like, you have a friend in England? I'm like, yeah.
Right.
It's just some guy. No, really. No, I have a friend in England. I've never met him in person, but he's a friend. So I think the relationship thing's a big part of it.
Yeah. I should say, I wonder if you ever heard of the application years ago? Because that was the first time of me experiencing streaming, but not like Blab, not one-on-one. Stickcam. Did you ever
Stickcam?
Get on that?
Yep. Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. That's the first experience I had, and then Ustream. But all that was outbound. It wasn't like what we're doing now. It was kind of like a Ustream where you don't see the person talking back to you. Stickcam tried it, but it just didn't work.
Yeah. Oh wow, I forgot about that one. Stickcam.
Oh yeah. They dropped out of nowhere also. Yeah.
Well, I think the concept has been around, like, this talk show format here. I remember doing, I used to do a recorded show, right? And so when I interviewed people, I would use Skype, and then I had a third-party tool
to record it.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called, and it was actually pretty good. It would actually, it would sense when one side was talking. And it would automatically switch back and forth in the video so it made it easy for post edit and all that stuff. And it worked okay, but it was just a lot of work, right? It was a lot of work. And it was a little complicated for somebody who didn't have that knowledge, right? Like I fumbled through it. But I think, the whole live thing, like when you came on in the lobby before we went live here, I was just checking out a Facebook page of our local Aamjiwnaang First Nations is having their election coming up this week. And so I was checking that out. And anyway, they were live streaming the candidates that were giving their speeches and everything. So it's nice to see more and more people are using even just the go live from your phone thing, right?
Right.
But this is nice and simple. BeLive. I think that's what. And even after being here for a while, I still look around. I'm keeping an eye open for what else is going on. But I haven't hit any point of going, I'm going to do this over there because, like, I don't feel like leaving BeLive at all. And I think that speaks volumes for what BeLive has really done with their platform.
Yeah, currently for me, I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm happy with the platform. I'm happy with the functions. That is the main, the usability or user friendliness is why I'm still, involved with it. But if I were to say, step it up and actually, I'm thinking about hosting, opening the studio to allow clients here locally where I'm at to produce a show and go live. I think then I would probably start stepping it up because of the request of the lower thirds and, a master recording and things like that will probably start coming into play for clients for me that if I produce some content. So right now I'm totally happy with BeLive, but maybe in the near future, if it looks like it's going to grow client wise for me locally, then I'll probably, venture off into other platforms like vMix or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's certainly a place like I do that. I use OBS, right?
Right.
And for different things, right? Or I use Switcher Studio for broadcasting of events, that sort of thing, right? So,
Sure.
But I mean, that's a different, well, it's just a different ball game on what you're doing, right? And compared to this is just nice and simple. Click, go live. Where is everyone? John Upton wants to know, where is everyone? Who are you talking about, John? John, why don't you join us on camera?
Steven.
Oh, we fired Steven.
Steven got mad. He went on a rampage.
Yeah, he's I don't know. He's probably listening. If you want to join us on camera, folks, we're happy to. This is broadcasting to your community. And originally this show began, we were just going to talk. It was live streaming to your community, broadcasting to your community, which has a conversation about live streaming, but we talk about everything really. So if you got some questions, you want to type guest in the comments below, and you have to make sure you're watching from the link above. My horns go up. The link above, click there so we can see all your comments, because we're broadcasting in about 15 different places right now, thanks to Crossposting.
Right.
Are you using Crossposting?
I am. I'm for my passion project, with content makers, I'm cross-posting to one location that's Live Video Hub right now, currently. Right. Just to get my feet wet, and really kind of to find out where my quote unquote group of people are. So my kind of content is really more geared towards production value and things like that. So I'm still looking to see, where I make a good fit. Right.
Well, I welcome you to join the Video Show Network as well.
Cool.
Crosspost there. You're welcome to do that. I think we've got about 25 shows going there right now.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the Live Video Hub, Steve was bragging last week. I don't know, something about 150 probably shows on the Live Video Hub now. Yeah. And they've got an organizer bot, or
you're able to go in and bot.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Yeah. So it's really quite a project for them, right? Yes. I haven't gone that far with it. I have quite a network on my page, so I just let people. So there's been a couple I've said no, I don't want that on here because it was negative.
Yes,
like no, go somewhere else.
Sure.
But what do you see for the next 6 months in live streaming? Do you see some new things coming along, or you have some assumptions about it, or?
I'll be honest with you. I'm not really sure, just because of where that's where I struggle with. Where do people comfortably want to go with live streaming? Now, I kind of see live streaming as two different groups of people. Mm-hmm. People that really just enjoy it and want to communicate, and kind of the hobbyists and just enjoy what they're doing and making that connection. And then there's another group that really wants to create a identifier, a brand that they can possibly build on and create a revenue maybe in the future.
Yeah.
And I think right now it's just kind of for this community, I'm just speaking strictly for this one, from my observation, is that, there's a little bit of a delay maybe just to kind of see how things get filtered out. Mm-hmm. People have to really ask themselves, the best question I think anyone can ask themselves is my brand, if you're going to do a brand thing, is my brand worth that effort? I think that's a good question that people really should ask themselves. And if it's not a brand and you're completely enjoying yourself, then you've won. You know what I mean? That's a good thing that you found something that you're into, and that you should continue to do it.
Let's talk. It's interesting you brought that brand up, because that was something actually I wanted to kind of pick your brain about, so to speak, because I know, well, we had a discussion on last week's show. You joined us, and I was sort of having some frustration with some branding stuff, right?
Sure.
The show or the Video Show Network. I think when it comes to branding, people get confused as to what exactly branding is. Right. And what I mean by that is, I think a lot of people go, oh, my brand is okay. It's a big yellow M. That's my brand, right?
Right.
And that's it. But it's really more than that, right? I think
A
a
whole lot more
brand
than that.
is, yeah. Why don't share what you think it is, or what you would say? We're
So,
probably going to agree.
so back in the day, the first branding was on wooden crates when they were shipping goods and services, or goods back and forth from country to country and town to town. And you would have an identifier, a brand, a logo. And that's where a lot of people kind of stop with where the brand is, the definition of the brand. And to me, the brand is much more than that. Yes, you have your identifier, you have your logo or whatever that is, but you also have the brand also encompasses the experience. So when you think of, say, McDonald's, immediately, if you were told we're going to go eat at McDonald's, you're going to have a good or positive thought process on, going to eat at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the brand experience. That's the overall vibe of what that company, organization, or whatever is. Versus marketing is a call to action. It is a deliberate form of communication to get a reaction. So I think people get those two mixed up.
Well, I like how you call it that an identifier. I mean, rather than, there's a logo, but I think the identifying, I'm having trouble today. The identifier, like you say, is also, it's like the experience of it, but what you represent, I know for my show, like sometimes I don't really do news. Sometimes I do. It depends what it is. I try to do positive news, if it's a good thing. I don't really get into politics. I used to live stream the city council meetings as an independent. They had their own. And then, but I once in a while get asked, go talk to me about the union strike or something like that. I'm like, that's not my brand.
Right.
I mean, I could be there with my camera. I could go live. I could ask the questions, do all that stuff, but it's not really who I am. And I think sometimes people make that error with their brand because I just want to be everywhere, and they kind of get kerfuffled in their identity, as you talk about the identifier as to who they are. I think it's a brand is also it's a long-term thing, really.
Right.
You're not just here today, gone tomorrow kind of thing. It's a forever lasting. Is it safe to change the brand over time?
That really depends on who you're asking. Me, no, I don't think it's safe. If you're trying to build a momentum, if you have a following, let's say of 100,000 people, sure, you could probably get away with changing, your color scheme and, your color palette and your logo and just completely change direction from politics to sports or whatever. You might be able to get away with that. But if you're trying to build something up, I would tend not to do that. I would tend to go the long haul, like you said, and commit to a certain, experience for your whatever, fill in the blank.
Yeah, and that's I struggled with that myself, a little while back, because all the years I did the show with David Burrows, and that was the recorded version, right? And then when I decided, okay, now I'm going to do my show weekly, but I'm going to do it live for a full hour with 3 different guests or more, blah, blah, blah. And I originally was going to keep the show and do my recorded, and then I was going to do a separate show live, and I called it Live with David. It was like, I'm going to go live with David now. So then, I had the show with David Burrows, and then I had Live with David over here, and then I had the Video Show Network over here. And some people said, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you? And I was like, yeah, I just need to try to keep this all in one. And the Video Show Network was originally designed to have other people in my community create shows, recorded shows, and the TVSN would be the network that they were all shared on. And then Live took over, and then Crossposting came in, and I went, voila, there we go. But TVSN was just in Sarnia Lambton. Now TVSN is everywhere. It's a network for a whole bunch of live shows. So,
Mhm.
and honestly, by some of your advice last week and others that I've talked to, I've decided that when I'm at a Sarnia Sting game, hockey, I'll do that on the show, not on TVSN. I'll do all the local stuff on the show, and because that's me, right? Like,
Right.
I had this discussion the other day with a friend of mine. He said, "You're the show. You're the show. Go do that direct." So, I mean, we can do different things, but
Very good.
you know, and I'd be on, you know, doing my Sarnia Sting thing or whatever, and somebody'd say, "Hi, Dave," da, da, da. And I'm like, "No, not hi, Dave. I'm
Right.
the show on the Video Show Network, but I'm not fighting it anymore."
Sure. Yep.
I was trying to get people to understand, and sometimes I think that's part of the branding. That's what the point I was getting to there was. That's part of the branding is sometimes the branding you want is one thing. And then other times, though, your audience tells you something else.
Yep.
We need to listen to them.
Yep.
But it's hard, though, right?
Yeah, that's what makes honestly a good entrepreneur. If you were about the, you know, the growth and the business or whatever that it is you're doing, then you're going to be a big boy and change direction if your following says we want you to go this way, you know. And then some people just say, you know, I'm gonna hunker down and I'm gonna commit to this format and this is what I'm gonna do. And sometimes it pans out and sometimes it just doesn't work.
Yeah. I was trying to train my audience.
Right.
I'm going to tell them how it's going to be. Nobody's going to. Yeah. And honestly, my wife, Jennifer, she's one too, that like, she's like, I get TVSN, I get the Video Show Network, and I've branded that all over my tents and everything as well. And that can still stay there, but I was at least smart enough to put both of them on the branding.
Yeah.
But she's like, yeah, you're the show. That's so. Right. It took me a while to listen. I'm a little slow, but I catch up eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you do that for your clients as well? Are you into the whole helping them design a brand and that, or are you just more about the video production? Or
no, that is what makes me different than the norm. I'm not a button pusher. I don't just come up with gear and say, okay, let's record. My way of working with clients is to find the story. I could care less what any other objective is. I'm not worried about social media right out of the gate, because if you don't have something to put on social media, then you're still dead in the water. So yeah. My approach is finding out, okay, what is the brand? Who is the brand? What's the product? What's the training video? What are we trying to communicate here? And then let's find that story in there that's out of the ordinary to help the viewer, to help the reader, whatever medium that we're making content on, to help that get communicated much more clearly and relatable.
Yeah.
So that's my approach on it.
And that's not an easy task.
No. No, you got to really, if I'm talking clients strictly, I got to really find where they're comfortable to say, put down the professional barrier and say, let's just communicate real quick. The camera's not on, and let's just roll with it and see what you got in you to communicate whatever the goal is. And most of the time I'll actually, if I can get away with it where they don't catch me, I'll actually hit record and have them believe that the camera's not even on.
Yeah.
And just roll with it and try to find those nuggets and pieces, because I know they're themselves. And I mean, let's face it, we can all take a 10-second look, 3-second look at a video and tell whether or not there's legitimacy there and if they're genuine or it's a bunch of BS.
Yeah, it's an interesting trick you just shared there about the recording and not letting that person know. It's funny the difference how we behave when the camera goes on.
Oh yeah.
Right. I mean, and I've tried to figure it out, and I don't know what it is. Like I've interviewed friends of mine that I've known for years, and they talk. And as soon as the camera goes on, okay, here we go. They're like, Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, where did you go?
Exactly. There's been so many times where clients will say, okay, we got the perfect employee to say this or that. They're going to be great on camera. They just cut up. They're phenomenal. They're funny. And as soon as you turn on that camera, they're like, and not even move. You're just like, okay, I'm gonna have to pull this person out. But usually the quiet people that are really into whatever it is that they're doing, if I can get them at a comfortable state, those are the ones that usually really bring out the genuineness.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good point too, is I think, I guess let's talk a little bit about the difference between live and recorded. This is a good kind of lead into that, I think, is recorded video. I mean, I do some small stuff. I'm not, doing a lot of big stuff like what you'd be into, but, small business kind of stuff. And, there's a place for polished video. That's what I call it, polished video. Mm-hmm. But live, I try to convince a lot of my clients to let's take you live. Real estate. Sure. Let's take you live. If you don't want to operate the camera, whatever, that's fine. We can have me in front of the camera with a microphone. I'm interviewing you, but we can walk through this house live and show people.
Yeah.
Here's their open house. The open house is now on their phone.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
It's nice to have them come through and take a look, but this is the teaser, if you will. But the thing I noticed about live compared to polished video is live is honest.
Okay.
It's uneditable. When it's live, it's uneditable. I mean, you can edit it later, but it's live. It's happening right now as we speak. Nobody's editing anything. And if the video's a little shaky or whatever, people don't care, I don't think.
Right. Right.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, but my approach would be a little different. I would take exactly what you're saying and add one more element. I would still hit record on something. Because you know that when live streaming, sometimes all of a sudden out of nowhere, something great just comes out, a good statement, a good phrase, a good line, a good captured moment. To be able to go back and use that snippet, chop it up, put it on whatever social media, to me, that's, I think it's beneficial to take the extra step. And so whenever I'm going live, I'm deliberately not going to record, or I'm deliberately going to record along with live. Yeah.
No, I think that's a good point. I typically do the same too. Because you're right. You can capture those moments. And I mean, if you do a 1 hour live, say walking through a house or something, you can go back and snip it up into a 15-30 second teaser to lead them to go watch that whole video or live or whatnot. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, because you never know. I don't know if the day's ever going to come where they're just going to put like contact lenses in our eyeballs and everything will be recorded.
Right.
There's a movie like that. I watched it not too long ago, and everybody there were glasses, and it was
Robert Williams. Was he?
Who?
Oh, gosh. I know. Was Robert Williams in it?
Robert Williams.
It was kind of a dark movie.
Yeah, it was kind of
you chop up the life that you saw throughout, edit pieces in and out. And
yeah.
I think that was Robert Williams. I forgot. I think 8mm or 8 something. I can't remember.
I know exactly. But it was Final Cut. Is that what it was? Yeah, okay, maybe. And it was like, whoa.
Right.
Yeah. I want to forget that part of my life. Chop. Ooh,
exactly.
Gone.
Yeah.
There's a couple things I wouldn't mind forgetting.
Yeah.
But we laugh, but I think we probably used to laugh at Dick Tracy when he talked to his watch.
Oh, right. Yep.
Dick Tracy
just
here.
Now, as we're talking, my wife sent me a text, asked me a question while we were talking. I was able to respond, and Dick Tracy. Look at that.
Yeah. Beam me up, Scotty. Well, I mean, really, talk to, computer. Hey, Siri. And, she's listening. Crap. I didn't mean that.
I knew that was going to happen.
I'm not sure I understand. It's okay, Siri. You don't have to understand.
Right.
And I actually have, hang on. There, she's muted. I have Alexa. And
yeah, I can't do that. I could not
no,
bring myself. Nah, I couldn't do it. It was just nothing weirds me out. I'm not worried about the government hearing or anything like that. It's
oh
just
yeah,
like I just couldn't. I was like, I'm a visual person, so
yeah.
that doesn't really connect to me.
Well, I know how you feel because I was sort of like that in the beginning. And then I was over at a buddy's house. Jennifer and I went over and we were hanging out.
Mhm.
And then he's like, do you have Alexa? And I'm like, what is this Alexa? I said, I've heard of it. He goes, oh yeah, come on downstairs, right? So he's got two. He's got one downstairs in his kind of his bar area, and then he's got one up in the kitchen or the living room.
Right.
So he starts demonstrating Alexa to me. And the next thing you know, the four of us are all sitting downstairs playing a trivia game with Alexa. And it was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Oh yeah, like I would challenge you to reconsider, because you could, like, I could say, Alexa, let's play a trivia game, or Alexa, let's play. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. In the beginning, I was like, okay, if I'm just going to get an Alexa so I can listen to a radio, I can do that on my phone or on my other computer here. Like, I don't need. But now, this is terrible. I have four Alexas. So there's one here on my desk. There's one up in the living room. There's one now in our bedroom. And I've got the fourth one sitting here in an open box. I haven't decided what I'm doing with her yet. But they're like intercoms too. So I can say, Alexa, drop in on the living room. And then I can talk to whoever's in the living room.
Oh, no, I like that.
Yeah. I can also call you. I can say, Alexa, call Franco. And if you're in my contacts list on my phone, she'll call you. And I'll just talk from my work phone.
I'm assuming that's an Android phone.
No, I'm an iPhone guy.
iPhone? Really? Okay.
Yeah. And she works with both Android and iPhone. And the other thing I like too is, if you have an Alexa,
right,
I can actually just directly reach out to you. So I can say, Alexa, drop in on Franco, and it'll ring your Alexa.
Wow.
And then
you
can, just like calling it. I can say, Alexa, drop in on Franco, and then your Alexa will go ding, 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 and you can answer it or not. And you can block me and all that stuff if you want, whatever. But yeah. So wherever you are in the world, as long as you have an internet connection, because your Alexa's hooked up to your Wi-Fi. So, oh, look at his wheels are turning now. He's like,
I know. I'm like, I like that. I like the drop in thing.
Yeah. And I have mine muted right now.
Right.
Because, or sometimes when I'm in my studio, I have it muted because Jennifer will try to get a hold of me, and I'm like busy, don't want to be distracted, so I just mute it. But then she or if I want to force her to come downstairs instead of just talking to me, I mute it. But she can call me for dinner. Right. David, dinner's ready. Oh, okay. So he's going shopping for an Alexa.
Yeah,
and they're only
$40, right?
They're only like $40 right now on Amazon. My first one I bought was at Best Buy, and they were on sale. They were $59. And if you bought two, you saved $15 or another $5 or whatever. And then then the other day they were like $40. I'm like, oh, right. I bought two more.
Right.
I'm an Amazon junkie. Well, I'm becoming one.
Yeah, I hope to learn a little more about the Amazon tools that they have, with their servers and stuff like that. The S3 or whatever. Yeah,
let me know, because I don't know much about it. I've heard about it, and somebody else suggested me too. If I was gonna, there's some live stuff you can do. I don't know exactly. I haven't. But I have Amazon Prime.
Yep,
which is I think like $90 a year, right? And the great thing about that is Prime Video's included.
Yep.
And if you're a Twitch person, there's some other added things there that you can get from Twitch because you're Prime Video. Because Amazon owns Twitch, right? I'm not sure if anybody knew that, but
yes.
Are you a gamer at all? Have you used Twitch at all or investigated?
I just currently recently started following Geeks Live or Geeks Life, something like that, and then Tech Condo, which is another streamer, but they don't really do games. They kind of do, well, Tech Condo, she does building Legos. She does kind of some gear review and things like that, which is kind of more along my line.
Tech Condo?
Tech Condo, yeah. Tech Condo. She mainly goes during the weekends. Okay. She's trying out the Live View, so she'll actually take Twitch out on the road and stuff like that. So it's fun. But usually, to answer your question, gaming, normally no. I normally don't follow that, not near as much as my son does.
There you go. How old is he?
13.
Yeah, okay. So my boy's going to be 18. And he's actually at our local college, Lambton College, which is 3 minutes down the street. Mm-hmm. And he works there in the esports arena that they have there. They have 21 PC consoles, or PC units that are like, well, they're like NASA. They're like a kick-ass computer, right?
I think I've seen some of the shots while you guys were there.
Yeah. So I haven't been on with him for a while, but he goes on usually every Thursday. But he's working there right now, and he's you come in and you pay your money to go in and by the hour, and he takes care of all of that. And he's actually taken the esports and entrepreneurship program. It's its first year. He's one of the first 70 students to go through it. So, well, it's an interesting thing because when you have that conversation with people, like grandmas and grandpas and cousins and stuff, and they say, "Oh, you're going to college. Oh, that's wonderful. What are you taking?" He says he used to say esports, right? Now he says esports and entrepreneurship. I'm like, yeah, that's got a little more ring to it. But and most people go, "Oh, really? That's interesting." What they're really saying is, "Huh? What the heck is that?"
No clue what you're saying. Yep.
Basket weaving what?
Right. Right.
Yeah. And it's, but it used to frustrate him a little bit, but then I said, it's just a good opportunity for you to create a conversation with somebody and explain them exactly what it is and help them understand, right? Yeah. If they're genuinely interested. And grandmas and grandpas, they'll listen to you all day, right? So
right. Right.
But yeah, it is interesting to be around. And even for me, when people say, "Oh, Jason's going to college. Oh, what's he take? Oh, he's sports and entrepreneurship." Oh, really? And some people roll their eyes and go, "Really? You can get a diploma in gaming?" I'm like, there's a lot more to it. It's not just sitting down and playing a video game. Right. Because they go into the whole marketing, the business aspect of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Wow. I'm excited for him, and he's excited. So, and he's doing what he loves, right? I've always told both my children, I say, you got to work, but do what you love.
Because if you do what you love, then you've made it.
The money will show up.
That's right.
It really will.
That's true.
I wish I could convince more people of that, to take the jump. Yeah,
it's got its ups, it's got its downs, but I would have to say it's got more ups than downs from my experience.
Yeah, I haven't. It really does. It's frustrating sometimes, for sure. Do you ever have your meltdowns? Where you go, I'm not doing this anymore.
But yeah. I think the last big blowout, I literally picked my computer up and was just going to chuck it and just be like I was done. It was some client that really just took me over the edge, and it was a bad job, a bad situation. And I've been there. Yeah.
I had a little crying spurt there last week. I call it a cry. And then my wife usually says, "Okay, are you done?"
Oh,
I'm like,
right.
Or she takes the advice that I've thrown out to her and my children.
That make you mad?
Yeah. I'm like, really? She says, "Well, I talked to this guy once and he said, no matter what comes along or what people say, never give up." Mm-hmm.
All right. Appreciate it. Yep.
That doesn't apply to me right
How
now.
about we look at your timing on this? Let's evaluate that for a second.
So come on. I'm like, I don't like you right now. I don't want to like you right now. Don't make me like you right now.
Right.
Let me go stomp my feet. So you go stomp your
Right.
feet, and she says, "I'll be right here when you're done."
You know, it's amazing. One of my it's amazing to hear that story, because the same situation with me with my wife, and you know, we're both, she's a real estate agent, so she's works for herself, and I work for myself, and we help each other within each other's company from time to time. But there's a common denominator with your spouse that I'm seeing a lot. I have a client that went from a wrecking company with one pickup truck and a couple of sledgehammers to a multi-million-dollar, I can say, empire. I mean, the man has come a long, long way.
Yeah.
And I got to recently do kind of a documentary for the family where they want to capture him talking and capture his daughters and his son and things like that. And that came up, the fact that he was hot and cold, and he would struggle, and he built it. But what you really find out is that the only reason why it continued to build is because when he wanted to pull the plug, his wife pushed him to, put on his big boy pants and stick it out.
Yeah. It's I don't want to sound cliche-ish, but it's a journey, right? When you're self-employed, and it's you're constantly growing, or at least you should be. Right. New obstacles come along, and how, I just had this conversation recently. I talked to my son about it, because I'm like, he's helped me with a lot of stuff that I do. He's part of the business as far as I'm concerned. And so I have those conversations with him, and sometimes he's like, oh, this and I'm like, there's always going to be problems.
Always.
That's business is a problem. It's a constant decision making. How do I handle it? But typically, the larger the problem, the larger the reward in the end.
Yeah, the more the payoff. Yep, exactly.
Right. So, I will quote Donald Trump, actually. And for those, whether it doesn't, I'm not going political here, but I saw him in North Carolina, actually, several years ago. And what was the name of the center we were at? Anyway, it was where the Cavaliers, is it the Cavaliers? The basketball team?
I have no idea.
Anyway, wherever the basketball team plays. I'm not, that's not me either. Not me either. Anyway, I saw him speak there. There was about 30,000 of us there. And he said, if you take a small problem, for example, if you bag groceries at a grocery store, you have to decide what goes in first, the eggs or the bread. That's a problem. You have to decide that. But it's a very small problem.
Right.
You figure that out. Okay. Problem solved. And I'm still standing here bagging groceries. But if you have to look after 50 people who are bagging groceries, that's a larger problem. And you have to make sure that they get the small problem figured, and then that's the bigger reward, is then everybody's working for it, and all that sort of stuff, right? And he and actually the thing he said at the end was, he was asked by Darren Hardy, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, was interviewing him. And he said, what's the one piece of advice you could give to anybody that's an entrepreneur? And he said, don't quit. Just don't quit. Don't give up.
Right.
Ever.
In my entrepreneurship of full-time of 15 years on it now, I have actually grown to enjoy the challenge of the problems. Before, it used to freak me out. I used to get all paranoid and stressed. Not saying that I don't still now, depending on the level of issue, problem, having to come up with the capital to maybe buy airline tickets or new gear or whatever it is, or I'm undermanned or whatever. Those problems actually have kind of energize me. They kind of excite me to know that I actually have these problems, and this is kind of great, and I should appreciate the problems and look forward to solving them to where my client can be not just rewarded, but impressed. That, hey, he pulled it out of nowhere and he achieved.
Yeah.
So,
well, especially in the live streaming world, I find I'm going to jinx this right now, but I don't think I've ever had a live stream yet go completely perfect.
All right.
Although I will say that BeLive's the most stablest I've ever used, honestly. But when I do my Sarnia Sting games, for example, so I don't know if you know what I'm talking about when I say that, but our local hockey team, Ontario Hockey League,
yes,
is our Sarnia Sting. So yeah, I do those pre-game and intermission kind of talk show kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it's great when there's a couple thousand people there. Mm-hmm. When there's 4,000 people there, it's a whole different ball game, because even if I use my own data off my phone, there's 4,000 people in one spot sucking it dry, taking all the bandwidth, right?
Right.
And I'm like,
right.
Everybody turn off their phones. I'm trying to go live here.
Right. Yeah.
So, got through it several times. There were issues, dropped out, and then sometimes you just go, well, sorry, folks, there's nothing we can do. But this year I got smart, and I'm already trying to figure out, okay, where can I set up my own router? Can I connect into there's an office right here, and I can plug in my own. So I'm figuring that all out, right? And that's just the, like I say, one of those challenges that shows up, and you have to go. I think sometimes though, and you can relate, the client doesn't always understand what we're doing,
or appreciate.
Right. Social media management. I do a little bit of that. It's not my main thing, but I do a few. And then they're like, oh, well, how come I didn't get any response, or I didn't get any sales? Or it's like, well, I'm not here to help you make sales. I kind of am, but I'm here creating your presence on Facebook, for example, that you didn't have at all before.
Right.
You've got to give me time, because today I'm going to work on getting more likes. Maybe tomorrow I'm going to work on reach, and maybe tomorrow on engagement, and all those things work together. And that's what grows your Facebook presence and all that sort of stuff. But try to explain that to somebody who's already paying you to do something because A, they don't understand it, and B, they don't want to.
Right.
But then they want you to go back and tell them what you're doing. Well, so you have to, and live streaming events. I'm doing a pay-per-view for boxing this week coming up, actually.
Oh, okay.
Which is exciting, but I've done live events, and, sometimes they're a little hiccupy or glitchy, right? Because the internet drops in and out and whatever. It's not television, folks. We're not there yet.
Yeah. I have I'm not sure if you caught the story. It might've just been, in my closed group, but I was in a situation where I had a team go out to, what was it? Tennessee, Aspen University. And I was at another location, not doing a stream, but doing a conference coverage in New Mexico. So very, very rarely do I split, myself away from a job. But I had a really good technician. He's the guy where I'm like, okay, hey Mike, this ain't working, fix it. And he can usually get his hands on it and fix whatever the equipment is. So I had a lot of trust in it. But I had a fairly good capture of the conference the night before. The following morning, they were all squared away, 3 camera shoots. It is by law that this certain board meeting has to be streamed. And if they go down on the stream, everything's shut off because they can't say anything until they're back up. So that's something that the governor or somebody made law. And so the first time ever, my equipment just decided to completely cut off. I mean, completely shut off. And it was so hard to see that, and the client didn't understand, well, why is this happening? Well, sometimes the gremlins just live, in the equipment or something. It's just, I can't tell you I foresaw this coming. The equipment that I had provided for you is good equipment, but I basically had to continue out that contract to reassure them and to gain that trust. Is I basically doubled all the equipment to where I was running 2 simultaneous streams, 2 switchers, 3 cameras, but they would split off to different mixers, and the audio, everything was divided right down the middle, just to gain that, because they couldn't understand, oh, it's not TV, and yes, we can lose a stream, but yeah, I've had my struggle with those times.
Yeah. And it always happens on the really good, important ones. It never happens on the kids' baseball game down the street.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I feel your pain there. But yeah, and then the client wants an explanation, and you try to smile your way through it and go, well, sometimes we don't have the answer. Well, what happened? Not really sure. It just decided to give me the finger today.
Yep. And I couldn't recreate the situation. I was like, okay, I'm going to determine what's going on. What's the wrong piece of equipment? There's bottlenecks all over the place, with streaming, where if one device goes down, the whole thing will go down. Mm-hmm. And it was the video switcher that would literally just shut off. And I kept asking him on the phone in New Mexico, getting ready to get on the plane, hearing my crew freak out because they're stuck trying to deal with this situation. I was like, is the AC on? How hot is it in the room? They're like, yeah, it's pretty hot in here. And that's the only thing I can chalk it up to be, is just that it was a temperature thing. And then the actual switcher itself was getting hot, and just completely given out. So I had to go with 2 switchers, 2 everything.
Yeah.
just to gain, the client's trust, and okay, we'll Safe House can do this, and we'll have them come back. But yeah, got to do what you got to do sometimes.
You ever deal with live captioning? Have you ever had to do any closed captioning or?
No. And I wouldn't even know where to start on that. I wouldn't even know how to price that.
Yeah. Well, I know over here we have, it's called it's a government thing. It's an accessibility, it's a term, OAD or so. Anyway, it's an accessibility thing where governments are required by law to provide closed captioning on all of their broadcasts. So like city councils, for example, on television. But I've been asked to do a few things for local government, and they're like, oh, but we have to have live captioning. And I'm like, well, you don't actually have to have live captioning. Well, yeah, we're required. I said, no, you can have it show up at, like YouTube, for example.
Right.
You can go on there and they add it in themselves automatically. It's pretty good.
It can generate itself afterwards. Yeah. Yeah,
that's right. So I didn't know if you had ever come across that situation or.
No, I haven't. I think I've heard people say that they can do it with a vMix or able to pull it off. But again, that's a whole nother. Yeah. To me, it's another technician. It's another piece of equipment, and I'll bow out on that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know YouTube is working on, or they've already begun. I don't know if it's beta or whatever, live captioning.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't looked into that much yet, but it's something I gotta look.
Yeah, I'm not too happy with YouTube right now and their live streaming. I don't know if you've I know you stream to BeLive and Facebook, but streaming to live on YouTube, I've got like the contrast and the colors and everything is just so extremely crushed down and saturated that I'm having complaints.
Oh, is that right?
Just one client, yeah.
Well, when I go live for different events and stuff, I if I go live from my phone, for example, I restream. So I go to live to Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, wherever I want to go, right? But I haven't specifically just used YouTube to go live. Only because my following's on Facebook and Twitter for the most part. But you're the second person this week I've heard mention of that. It's almost like they're taking the video and compressing it or something.
They're trying to correct what people that are using their phone and that aren't producing streams at whatever level. They're trying to make it to where it's plug and play and everyone's going to look the same. The issue with that is it does ruin, some streams, in my opinion, because if the client can notice it, that's pretty bad. And if I try to correct before I hit the stream, then my main master take is completely blown out to correct what YouTube is doing wrong.
Oh, okay.
So
interesting. Well, YouTube, I guess they can do whatever they want.
Whatever they want.
It's kind of like Facebook, right? I had somebody say to me, "Oh, could you like use a different camera other than your phone?" And I'm like, "Why?" Well, I want higher quality. I'm like, "We're going to Facebook."
Yeah. If that's your final destination.
Yeah. Yep. You're not getting more than 720 out of it, so don't worry about it.
Right.
And honestly, like, I find I do everything on my phone. Once in a while, I have my Sony Handycam, but everything I do is all on my phone. But mostly because everything I do on my phone is live, right? Some small videos that I do, I go right there, plug in a microphone, away you go. But I found I used to do concerts. I used to go to concerts. And when I started using my phone for that kind of stuff, people didn't get out of my way. Even if I was in the media pit.
Yep.
Because they're like, it's a guy with a phone who got some access. Yeah. But if I have a camera on my shoulder, get out of my way. So sometimes I still take the other camera just because, they get out of my way. Isn't that funny?
Yep. Yeah, that's very, very common.
I've also had the experience of being in the media pit. They'll say you can take all the pictures you want, no flash for the first 3 songs.
Yep.
They'll say you can take 90 seconds of video of the first 2.
Yep.
Then after that, when we come out of the media pit, if we're just wandering around in general audience, we are not allowed to take any pictures or video once we're out of the media pit. Do not attempt to take any more video or pictures when you're out of the media pit, or you will be removed.
Wow.
And I'm like, but the guy over there who bought a general admission ticket can take all the photos and video he wants. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't do
that
that
doesn't
anymore,
make sense.
So don't worry about it. But
yeah.
Well, it depends on the artist. It's the artist that says, the publisher for the artist that says, right? That says we do this or we don't want that. Some of them are still slow trying to catching up to technology. They really are. Yeah. It's like everybody has a phone. Kevin Smith, the movie man, he said, take all the photos and videos of me you want, post it everywhere, please. But when I come to your city, please buy a t-shirt. Right. So I guess it depends how you look at it.
Yeah.
Franco, thanks so much for joining me today. It's been an hour already. Hard to believe. I've enjoyed our conversation, and
me too.
And we'll have you back for sure. I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm going to let Steven back.
Good old Steven.
Of course I will. Yeah, he's enjoying some time off. We all need that. Any final thoughts before we go?
No, I'm good to go. I hope everyone has a good week.
All right. Where can people find you?
Contentmakers.net. Just put that into your URL and that will point you to wherever I'm at. And right now I'm on Facebook.
Contentmakers.net. Here we go, folks. That's Franco. Contentmakers.net. Lots of knowledge here today. because you were here.
Definitely. I enjoyed it.
Thanks so much for being here. Thanks everybody for watching. If you're watching live right now, do me a favor and type 10 in the comments below. Give us a 10 if you enjoyed the show. And if you didn't enjoy the show, just do nothing then. But if you're watching the replay, type replay down below too. And we'll be back here next Monday. We're here every Monday, 12 o'clock Eastern on the Video Show Network. I will be live later today at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. I've got a boxer, a rapper, and a doggy paddle beach fest. What is that all about? Find out today at 3:30 on the show. Thanks everybody for watching. Bye for now.